You did an interview in the past where you mentioned that your children don't have access to phones at the moment. So I wanted to ask, as a tennis player and also as a parent, how do you balance use of technology, especially with AI coming through and everything else?
Good to see you, everyone. Great to be back, and what a nice way to open up a press conference. Yeah, I think it's a hot topic for all of us. I think in this society of today, in the world of ever evolving technology, particularly as a parent of young children, you always think how you can protect them and how you can also, satisfy some fundamental needs. They, if all of their friends have it, obviously they're asking for it, and it's a challenging situation for me and my wife, but at the same time, we believe firmly that before a certain age, I think the exposure to screens, it's more harmful than beneficial. So we stick to that, and obviously not easy, as I said, but we live in the technological era, and it's all around them. But we try to control what we try to control, in a sense, at least while they're still, very young. And then afterwards, I mean, the time is coming anyway very soon where they're going to be exposed and they're going to have, their own screens, etc. But we try to at least give them some protections and control before this inevitable moment arrives.
Matt?
Curious, have you bumped into Serena yet and talked to her at all?
Yes.
What was the conversation? What was the conversation like? Did you guys talk about playing doubles together?
Yeah.
Anything else? Or what did
Yeah.
two people with 48 Grand Slams singles titles talk about?
Yeah. Well, look, first and foremost, what she's doing is very inspirational and it's epic, and that's what I told her. I always admired her career, her journey, her story, and of course Venus's as well. And for her to come back after years of being absent from the tour, 2 children later, and to give so much effort to not just for her own satisfaction of coming back on the tour, but also to give all of us a pleasure of seeing her back on the court in singles as well as doubles is remarkable. So I really, I told her that, whatever happens, what she's doing is really truly inspirational for me personally, and I'm sure for millions around the world. So, I see her in the gym more than I have, I think, seen her when she was at her prime. And it tells me that she really wants this to work out the best way possible. And it's admirable, honestly, the effort that she's putting in. So, of course, all eyes are on her and her comeback. I just hope that she will enjoy, because she really deserves. She created something historical, legendary in her career, and she deserves every applause she's going to get.
Simon?
Hi, Novak. I was just wondering what impact the heat is having on the grass here. You've always been a great mover on grass,
Yeah.
but does it open the tournament to more people in terms of the way you move? Is it drier or harder than it usually is?
Well, as I understand, the weather is going to settle a little bit next week when the tournament starts. But yes, this week has been one of the hottest weeks ever in my experience so far in 20 plus years in Wimbledon. Yes, it does have an effect because it's a live surface. It's a live material. So, any change in the temperature or, weather conditions is affecting the way the grass responds to that. Obviously, when it's very hot, the grass softens, the soil softens. So it does affect the bounce that is lower. It can get quicker in terms of the surface bounce, but the balls respond differently. The balls, when it's very hot and humid, they get bigger, fluffier. So then that slows the game down. So it's a little bit of an interesting situation there. It's quite a different response from the balls and the surface itself. And in terms of how slippery it is, look, grass is always slippery. So yeah, I mean, I luckily so far, playing one exhibition match and some, practice sets so far in this week, haven't slipped once or fell once on the court. I don't know if that's a good sign or not, or if something is coming up next week. Let's see. But you always have to kind of be a little bit more careful, I would say, comparing to the other surfaces. The way you move, I do slide. I do continue to slide also on grass, but I do have to adjust my footing and my steps on the grass a bit more in order to I guess, have a more effective movement. It's not like the other surfaces. So yeah, let's see what happens. I think temperature is going to go cool down, and hopefully it will be a nice, pleasant weather for us to play on, and also crowd and public to watch, because it's not also comfortable for them sitting on 35 degrees.
Hi Novak, I was just wondering how concerned you are that people trying to watch the World Cup games on their phone is going to cause distractions for people playing matches.
I think I had that experience before here in Wimbledon a few times with European cups and World Cups in the past, where particularly interesting matches that I played, like the scheduled last on the center court, and England would be playing. That would be interesting to experience for me on the court. It would be loud. It would be, you could sense that there's a buzz going on, and people are kind of simultaneously looking at your match and also following their national team. But it's normal. It's the football fever right now, and that is 4 to 6 weeks, and we're also part of it. I like football. I follow everything that is going on, and obviously nicer when you're by the TV than when you're playing, and not everyone is focused on your match, but that's okay. That's what it is.
Simon?
And Novak, we understand you're not part of the Larry Scott thing that's going on again here with the media boycott, but I just wondered whether you had any views on it, since it seems to be rumbling on and probably going on for a bit longer.
Yeah, I have no views on that, to be honest. I'm not part of it, so I'll stay neutral on that.
Cedric?
Hey Novak, in terms of preparation, how did you manage these latest 4 weeks? Before Paris, you've told us that you were disappointed by the level of work you could have. Is it different before Wimbledon?
Yes, I think it is different in terms of just the overall physical state. I think I'm better prepared here than I was for Roland Garros. And obviously playing on grass, comparing to clay, you don't need to exert as much physical effort. So that's better for me. And I always love playing on grass, and I have a very good score here in history in Wimbledon. So that gives me, of course, higher dose of confidence coming into the tournament. Roland Garros was, physically very draining, and, demanding 3 matches that I played. All of them went, almost around 4 hours. So, but, I'm proud of the effort. I lost in the 3rd round against a 20 years younger opponent, and, fought him till the end in the 5 sets, almost 4 and whatever hours that we played. So, yeah, of course, maybe not the result I was looking for, but the effort was there, and, I was anyway, planning to peak at Wimbledon. That's kind of after the injury and that of the shoulder that kind of kept me away from the tour for several months. I knew that, also not having many at all matches, official matches on the tour, and going pretty much straight into Roland Garros is going to be quite difficult, and maybe too big of a challenge for me at the moment, and that's what happened. But I knew that it's going to give me a bit more time get myself prepared for Wimbledon. So hopefully I'll have a good tournament here.
Last question in English.
And Novak, just on Venus and Serena again, just wondered if you can just summarise, particularly here at Wimbledon, if you're able to, their legacy, how they've kind of changed the sport, and particularly this tournament, what they've done.
Well, what else I can add that I haven't said in the previous question? I mean, we have seen also Will Smith's Oscar Award, King Richard performance, and people got to know a little bit more that don't maybe necessarily follow tennis about William's sister's story, and we kind of from the tennis knew that from before. I mean, it's truly inspiring. The way they were brought up, the way they grew up in a very challenging environment that was not necessarily very supportive of their tennis, but they've grown up to be very resilient people, and the sisters stayed together, supported each other, and obviously Venus being a bit older made a breakthrough on the tour earlier than Serena, and I just don't know how they managed to play versus each other in the finals of Grand Slams or any other tournament. Like, I have two younger brothers that play tennis, played professional, obviously not at the highest level, but there was one or two times that I could have played one of my brothers in singles, and luckily for both of us, we that didn't happen, and I just don't know how you're able to play your sibling on the court. I don't know if I will be able to do that. So that's also another aspect to it of their greatness is how professional and competitive they were against each other, but loving and supporting of each other as well. So just their singles careers, doubles careers, Olympic Games. I mean, they won gold, singles, doubles. They won everything that you can possibly win in this sport, and they transcended tennis as well. They went into different areas of life with business, fashion, and just the impact on the youth in America and worldwide has been tremendous. So big fan of both of them.